Welcome back, pop stars, to the Pink Popcast
podcast,
where we talk about film, media,
and everything else.
And would you say that that's it?
And that's all.
There you go. I'm Rizzo.
I'm Benji Priestley.
I knew you were going to say that. And of course, we are talking about none other than The Devil Wears Prada 2. Also, thanks for your patience. It's been a second since we've done a podcast.
Yeah. Oh man, it's been a hot minute.
It's been quite a year, and nothing honestly has really got us away from our busy schedule to sit down and talk about. And yet, this was kind of an event that we felt we couldn't bypass. It is a movie 20 years in the making. Are you going to be doing this the whole time? It's so hard to have enthusiasm when someone seems so disinterested in you.
I like to give Miranda Priestley energy.
Okay. Yeah, well, it is a sequel 20 years in the making, so it felt like quite an event. If you are new to this channel, then here's how we do things. Spoiler-free reviews. Keep it quick, keep it simple, and then we'll let you know the moment that we are going into spoilers. With that being said, Benji Priestley, how do you feel about your comeback movie 20 years after the original? How does that feel?
I'm going to say, now I will preface that I really did not watch Devil Wears Prada a ton growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it a few times when I was younger. I've watched it a few times in my adulthood. It is a solid movie, and I think this was a solid follow-up. I really enjoyed it. 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Straight into 2 thumbs up. All right. So
here we go.
No.
I want to hear the critical.
Here. Well, before I get into any thoughts whatsoever, let's discuss The Devil Wears Prada 2. It does pick up 20 years after the original one. Andy, played by Anne Hathaway, she is now a respectable journalist, which is what she always wanted to be. And the movie starts off with, and this is about the only spoiler I'll really give in this part.
Well, you can't give a spoiler in this part. No spoilers. This is a no spoiler part. You just explained it. You can't. So find another way to say it.
It's in like the...
Is it in the trailer?
No.
Okay, well then sorry.
Well, there's a reason that Andy has to go back to work for Runway.
Work for, or is there a reason that she's around them again?
Her working for is in the trailers.
Okay.
Around them again, yes. So Andy is brought back into the world just when she thought she was out. They bring her right back in.
They didn't, not just when she thought she was out. She's been out for 20 years.
It's a quote from The Godfather, Benji.
I understand, but it doesn't apply here.
Just when she thought she was out and she got comfortable, she got brought right back in to the world of Runway.
20 years later.
Shut up.
Go ahead.
And her job is to essentially, I guess, change the look and the perception of Runway, the magazine / now online presence, to match the modern day times. Of course, this is not at the will of Miranda Priestley herself. And so the shenanigans of 2 opposing forces ensue. We've got everybody's back. Everybody's back.
Everybody's back.
Everyone's back, including the director and cinematographer, which is a point we'll talk about later. But everyone's back, even the best friend, not the boyfriend.
Boyfriend's not back.
That
Sometimes
actress,
we break up with people, and that's that.
And that's that. Yeah, the actress whose name I don't know, but I always love her when she pops up in things here and there. She was also in Rent, which is a movie we need to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. The best friend. Yeah,
the best friend. So she's back. Stanley Tucci's back. Emily Blunt's back. Obviously, oh my God, I'm forgetting her name.
Titular Emily. Oh, you already said Emily.
No.
The titular
devil herself. I forgot her name.
The devil herself.
I was so focused.
Miranda Priestley.
Yeah. Do you not remember her name either? Oh my God.
I obviously remember her name. You don't?
No, I know.
Come
it's
on.
Meryl Streep.
It's Meryl Streep.
I had a momentary lapse. Do not judge me. I know the comments are going to be like, how could you forget? How could I forget everything? I've forgotten my own name sometimes. All right. That's how ADHD works. Anyway, Meryl Streep is back. And I will say, I have a lot of thoughts about how the movie it was a 2-hour film, first off. And I have a lot of thoughts as to the pacing of it and kind of how we visited a lot of things that we had seen in the past and how we kind of tackled some new aspects, especially them working in a modern day world. And I will say some of my favorite parts was watching Meryl Streep be Miranda Priestley in the modern day, so forth. And it's actually a part I wish was kind of leaned into more heavily with the film. So, but she still gives a great performance. Everyone's doing as good of a job as they can. Again, 20 years is a long time.
It is a long time to come back to this.
Especially for a film that means a lot to so many people. I think we're both kind of in the same page. I hadn't watched it since it came out until we did our reaction to it, like 3 years ago?
And that was still, like 2-3 years ago.
Before there was even a whisper of a second movie.
Yeah.
I have since grown to really love the film. It is
it's a great
the original
film.
one, of course. It has become a weird surprise comfort film in the sense of my sibling loves watching it and can watch it over and over again. And my own aunt, who is kind of in the later years of her life and I've been helping take care of, who's now in a hospice and just kind of living, and not a hospice. Hospice is when you're...
Yeah, that's when you're dying
she's in a care facility, but you and I would bring
we would
her
have
over for
movie nights with your sibling, and every time we would pass Devil Wears Prada and be like, I mean, do we want to watch it? And
both my aunt and my sibling were like, no.
So we've watched it multiple times with everybody because we're all just like, yeah, throw it on.
It's grown to be a film that I respect in the sense of it knows exactly what it wants to be, and I think it accomplishes every aspect of its hero's journey exceptionally well. Watching Andy go from rags to literal nicer rags. What would you, Versace?
Well,
from rags to Versace.
From rags to riches ish.
So
in the first one, yeah.
So it's a movie that means a lot to a lot of people and has grown to mean a lot to us.
And not surprisingly, because I know him, but my dad loves this fucking movie.
That is surprising.
That
is surprising to me.
It was surprising to me just because I was kind of like, I mean, I figure you would enjoy this, but I also didn't know you knew about it.
Right.
And he was like, no, I love The Devil Wears Prada. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's so
like,
funny.
Literally, he goes, he kind of keeps up more or less with our videos. And my mom kind of keeps him watching things. And literally, as soon as we posted Devil Wears Prada, he called me like 40 minutes later and was like, I just watched the Devil Wears Prada reaction.
Wow.
Oh, man, that's so good. That makes me want to watch the movie again. I'm going to watch it again. I really love that movie.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's a very good movie, and I think I don't remember what I was saying, but hold on.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to say it twice.
It's become something important to you.
It's become something important, and therefore, fuck. I don't remember what I was saying. All right, Podcast Rizzo, while you're taking forever to unfortunately never return to your train of thought, I figured editing Rizzo would step in here to clarify a few things that we unfortunately didn't cover in the original recording. First off, I do want to acknowledge that the character that Helen J. Shen plays, this is not any fault of her own, but the character has been called out by a lot of people as being something that plays into offensive Chinese stereotypes, even to the point where the name the character has is something that no one should say because it's very close to terms that have been used against people of any Asian background. So want to acknowledge that. That's something a lot of people have called out. And it's also a reason that people might not go see this movie. To that, I would say valid. We forgot to mention it mainly because that character is just kind of inconsequential to the plot. They do play into it towards the end, but at the same time, it's just, there's so much happening. You really forget that character is there. There is better Chinese representation with Lucy Liu's character. However, still doesn't negate an oversight at best or intentional bias at worst. So I wanted to acknowledge that. Second thing I want to acknowledge, I don't remember at what point, but I say that Kenneth Branagh has returned, is part of the returning cast members for the sequel. Kenneth Branagh was not in the first movie. I don't know what Podcast Rizzo was thinking. I feel like I got incepted. I was a little turned around, and I was just so convinced that he was a returning cast member just because he kind of almost felt out of place in this. Not out of place as whatever husband she's on, I think number 5. Just more, I was a little shocked. I was like, oh, Kenneth Branagh, you kind of brought him in as the husband to Meryl Streep's character, Miranda Priestley. So again, not out of place, but he definitely kind of felt like a cast member that had been carried over, and I didn't research it. Like I said, the first movie was not one of my childhood favorite classics, so I don't have it as memorized, but again, I needed to clarify that. And lastly, it's not something that we've talked about yet, but this will be more in the spoiler territory towards the end. This isn't a spoiler. I did want to acknowledge that I was not aware that Stanley Tucci had gone through throat cancer. So we did mention his voice towards the end of the podcast. Something that, again, we don't downplay or dismiss. No ageism here. Actors get older, their voices change, things happen. That's fine. I just acknowledge it, and I wish I would have known that he had gone through throat cancer prior, because I think that definitely plays into kind of a lot of how he even played the character. All right. Lastly, I will say, now I stand by everything, every criticism and praise I had in this podcast. I do want to say I've softened toward this movie, even in the one night of sleep I've had. A wild theater experience, so I'm optimistic of watching it again. All right, let us know what you think, and we're gonna get back to the actual podcast. So, fuck, I forgot what I was saying. Well, why don't you talk about it? I don't need to run on. What did you think of it? Non-spoiler. How do you feel the impact of it was compared to like the first movie?
I think the impact, it was interesting for me watching, again, not being as kind of familiar with the intricacies of each character.
Yeah.
It was interesting watching the progression of how Andy is with Miranda now, because she is like, while she's Miranda and she's larger than life, we're a little bit more toe-to-toe with her in this one, even from the beginning. So it's a little bit more, she's inherently a little bit less scary. She's a little bit less of the devil and more of like, we've found respect for her already.
Yeah.
So coming off of that from the last movie, it's like she's already a little bit more humanized walking in. We got the gags that we saw in the trailer, which I thought were hilarious, and that's kind of why I had a lot of hope for this movie, was the kind of, who is this? And it's like, this
it
is
felt very realistic
for
a character like Miranda Priestley to not have any reverence for that time in her life the way we would. So we as an audience is like, oh my God, The Devil Wears Prada, I've seen it 100 times, and she's like, who?
Kind of like Andy, and she's like, oh, Miranda, and she's just kind of like, I don't know who you are.
I thought
that was great.
A very smart angle to take, but as you were saying.
But yeah, so it was interesting watching almost like the kind of interaction that they have now, where she gets to be a little bit more humanized throughout. So the movie does, I guess, feel a little bit different in that sense of she's less of this big, bad, daunting, like, top dog force, and more of like, we're a little bit more collaborative in this one, especially towards the end of the movie. Like we, just seeing this interaction between the two of them grow. And I really enjoyed watching not just them, but everybody kind of pick up from more or less where they left off, because it's like, well, so much time has passed for each individual character. Andy is getting reintroduced with us, so we get to kind of catch up with her at what everybody's doing, more or less, like, because she has been keeping up with them.
Yes.
But kind of like everybody's reintroducing, and we're kind of seeing these first looks with everybody coming back together, and kind of like, what have you been up to? What is our interaction now that, maybe with Andy and Emily, that we don't work together anymore? I'm not, trying to come up in your industry. I've become like kind of a titan of my own.
Yeah, she's been off on her own, not doing anything in that industry whatsoever.
Yeah, she's been a journalist, like, and not for fashion. So it was interesting kind of watching what I felt like was a real progression of where these characters would be in this 20 years. I loved seeing Simone Ashley come through. Like,
Simone Ashley was a fun pop-up.
She was a great pop-up, because it was like her character didn't get to do a ton.
No.
But she was just a great addition to the energy of The Office. Like, it was this new Emily character that was just a little bit more respectful, but like not as
she knows HR. She has the HR handbook a little more memorized.
A little
than
bit
Emily
more.
Blunt
She's
did.
like, I have to be a little bit more cautious in the workplace. I can't terrorize everyone. But there are the little moments where you're like, oh yeah, you're Emily too.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, just watching where everybody is, I think, was great, and watching, like you said, this movie tackle this era.
Now, I will say, on a critical level, and we're still going to be critical level, and we're still going to be spoiler free here. I think the movie has a good justification for existing.
Yes.
And has a good mechanic in terms of what brings these characters back together. And I will agree with you. A lot of times, especially with films where somehow they're able to bring everybody back and they're really trying to kind of play into nostalgia. This was one of the few times where, just given the nature of people who work, this felt like one of the more, I don't want to say realistic, but I wasn't taken out of it every time we saw a person pop back up.
Yeah.
It felt like, oh yeah, these are naturally where these characters would probably end up, God forbid, an act of God happens, or like a death in the family, stuff like that. Like it felt very natural. Oh, of course, Andy is going to be a full-time journalist now. Of course, she's going to be dealing kind of with the industry the way it is now. Obviously, Miranda Priestley's still going to be on top. And it made sense for someone like, what is her character's name? Emily Blunt? Is she was
Emily.
She was Emily?
Yeah.
Okay. It makes sense for Emily to kind of have stepped off to the side and work in like an adjacent
Be
field.
doing her own thing, but still in fashion.
Kind of at the top in her world, but not at the top in the larger picture. So there was a lot of things where I felt, okay, feels like a natural progression. I like the mechanic of what is initiating this story. I will say it felt very toothless in a lot of areas. It felt like we were hinting at some deeper themes and some deeper ideas, and including, and I think this has kind of been played out a lot with a lot of movies, and I'm not thinking of any examples off the top of my head, but kind of the whole, like an old dog in a new daycare, old dog in a new park type energy, where you've got like the rough and tumble person who's like, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about me, and then you have the, well, now let's keep it more HR, PC, more friendly. Actually, most recently, they've done that exact dynamic in the new Scrubs reboot, where any of the old characters are having to deal with Vanessa Bayer as like the HR kind of like, let's calm it down. You can't do what you did 20 years ago. Yeah. And it almost becomes like a meta commentary on itself of like, hey, we're not that old movie. So I feel like in a lot of ways, the film does a lot to try and kind of tackle the state of everything, almost too much. It's trying to tackle a lot, and it's speaking on it, but I don't really feel as if it went as deep as it could have gone, but it went as deep as it needed to go for the resurrection of a 20th century product that needed to retain rights / keep people employed / bring people into seats.
Was this a rights movie?
I don't think it was. I just mean in the sense of like, you've got this franchise, you've got this brand, lying dormant. Everyone's still alive. Why not bring them all back for round 2?
No, actually.
And I think it functions decently in that regard, but there's a lot of areas that when we get into the spoilers that I'll get into more detail on. Ultimately, though, it was a fine, enjoyable film. There was nothing about it that egregiously pissed me off, although I'd be curious to talk to people, and
I'd be curious to talk to your sibling.
I would be curious to, yes. Thug would be who I am very interested in hearing what they think about the film, mainly because they grew up with it. Like, it was their everything.
Yeah.
And again, speaking as someone who doesn't have the same connection with it, I still would be hard-pressed, and this speaks to kind of the state of the world and the fact that we're all grown up, but even to kids nowadays, I'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who would attach to this with the same kind of
fervor.
Yeah, fervor that the original one was able to muster up in people. There was a freshness to it. There was like a lightning in the bottle. That one felt, again, more purposeful. And there's an aimlessness in a lot of this film. Let me consult my notes, because I have some notes that are spoiler-free. It felt like... This is a spoiler for the first movie, but the first movie ends with Andy. What she takes her phone and throws it in the fountain.
Oh my God, yeah.
In a lot of ways, because by the nature of films like this, in which they're bringing people back and kind of trotting them out to be like, look at all the old characters that you remember. Look at all the old plot points you remember. In a lot of ways, this film there were so many scenes of this film that felt like that fountain scene from the first movie, where it just kind of had this kind of casual tourist voyeuristic energy to it, where it's like, we're just kind of going through the motions and witnessing how a lot of these characters are just existing, rather than there being kind of like a drive to the narrative. Like, obviously,
do you mean like the throwing out of the phone was kind of pointless and more
no,
gesture,
the throwing out the phone was a big moment at the end of the first movie, where Andy reaches kind of this almost this self-satisfaction, this nirvana, whatever, just like an understanding of her place in the world. And there's just kind of like that was a nice bow on everything type wrap to the entire film. The whole film is like this. The original is very stressful, very, it's very driven in, is Andy going to be able to keep up? Yeah. And then at the end, she kind of just goes, I don't have to keep up. And a lot of this movie felt like, yes, there's definitely scenes, and I will say it picks up immensely towards the second half. but a lot of the scenes just kind of had this very relaxed nature about them. I didn't feel the momentum or drive in the same way as the first movie. And it almost felt like a mausoleum of the first film, where it's just like walking through and going, and this is this plot point that you remember, and this is this character you remember.
I do agree there. I mean, any sequel, especially like an old nostalgia sequel, is going to do that, where they kind of go, remember this reference, remember that. There was a few times where she was like, this thing, and it's like, that didn't, there was one specifically that I was like, that felt a little bit fan servicey, but whatever. But that is interesting that you say that, because yes, there was that kind of like scare. Yes,
say that shit with your chest.
That's been stuck in his head today for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is very true, and I think it's almost even not that this was probably necessarily intentional for them, but I think it's very like, that is your early 20s versus like your late 30s.
Yep.
You know, that is like your kind of, when you're first like, oh God, I'm graduating college, I'm leaving the house, I gotta find a job, I gotta be in the right field, I gotta do this, no one wants me, I'm trash, I can't get a job anywhere, I gotta take whatever I can get, I gotta grind, I gotta work, I gotta do whatever I can. And then finally, when you've kind of built a career and you at least have that experience, even if you haven't built a career, you have enough life experience to be like, I know when I can walk away from things. I know that there's another job that I can go find. I know, even if I'm flipping burgers, even if I'm, not in my preferred career, even if I'm not in my, final form, best stage of life, I know that there's certain levels of stress I won't put myself through. I know there's certain levels of disrespect I won't put myself through.
Exactly.
And I know that my piece over everything, and especially not even just being later in your adulthood, but being in this time right now where it's like your mental and emotional piece is kind of worth more than anything. So it kind of like having that mentality of, hey, I'm willing to put in for my job, I'm willing to struggle for my career, but at a certain point also I know that I can step back, and kind of even having that mentality of knowing in the back of your mind, I can step back if I need to, and I will step back when I need to, does kind of let you float through things a little bit. Just saying. It is still a privilege to be able to float through things.
And does it make for a compelling narrative?
No, not necessarily. But
so I would say, and I think, do you have anything more to say in the spoiler-free?
Really quickly, I will say that even with that little bit of, we're kind of safe and we can enjoy this, there are still stakes to this.
Yes.
Not the same stakes as the first one. She didn't have to go to that store and get the steak specially made for Miranda that she told her to throw out later. There wasn't a literal steak, but there were stakes still.
Yeah.
And maybe we can leave it there.
I will say that when the film does veer off from the narrative points that we've seen in the past, I found myself a little bit more intrigued, but it also does speak to the functionality of that first film, in which watching someone struggle with a horrible boss, it's just generally relatable. It's just such a lightning in a bottle, great plot point. It's universal. I know nothing. I know fuck all about fashion, but I know what it's like to be shouted at by someone who has an unreasonable expectation for you.
That's very true.
And I don't think there's a universality to this film. I think this film really coasts on, these characters and these actors, and so we'll play more to that angle. So it only really works as a kind of what is it called? There's the opposite of a forward, an epilogue. It almost works as an epilogue rather than functionally its own story with its own narrative drive, with its own, because again, I wasn't even really able to tell you what in the spoiler-free section, I wasn't even able to say why she's brought into this world, and it's just like we kind of danced around a lot of plot points. There's really, let me look up. Let me see what the log line is.
Okay.
How would you sell this to a person who knows nothing about the first movie? Devil Wears Prada 2 log line.
It's Devil Wears Prada 2. Go watch the first one.
Yeah, see, that's it. A smart, fashion-blind young journalist tries to survive. Nope, that's the first one. Fuck you, AI. God damn it. Devil Wears Prada 2 log line.
Speaking of the fashion blindness, though, we did get, I feel like, a lot more bombastic fashion in this one. We got Fashion Week instead of fashion, like a few fashion shows.
Yes.
So that was fun to see a lot more fashion.
Okay, so
and from more characters. Sorry, go ahead.
Here's the log line, and I think this log line perfectly, I can jump off from that to reiterate a point I made earlier, and then we can go into spoilers. Andy Sachs must return to partner with a fading Miranda Priestly, navigating the digital decline of fashion publishing while facing off against their former colleague Emily, who has become a powerful luxury brand executive. Okay, there's a solid premise in there. Andy Sachs, after 20 years, must return to partner with a fading Miranda Priestly in a digital age that's declining fashion. 3 great plot points, all of which I feel like are spoken about and kind of touched upon, but nothing that if I didn't know these characters prior would really compel me to ever watch it again. It's very surface level in how it deals with its subject matter, even with how it deals with its stakes. So it's a lot of fun as a fashion show of the original film. Let's trot out the original characters. But when it's all said and done, you're not going to buy the line and you're just going to go to the Gap.
Okay, wow. You just give us a little fashion show, but you're not buying the pieces.
I'm not buying the pieces.
Oh, man.
I'll wait for next season.
Online dupes.
So that's how I feel.
And let's get into the spoilers.
Let's do spoilers section right now. Miranda Priestly dies.
That's not true. But we knew you couldn't get away fast enough, so now you think she died.
Now you think she's dead.
No, okay, we're starting in 3, 2, 1.
Miranda Priestly and Andy are gay for each other. I can do this all day.
That'd be solid. I know, right? The actual spoiler. So what did you think about the movie? We could do that all day, but you know what? Let's not.
Actually, I was surprised at how well I was able to articulate in the spoiler-free section.
Yeah, what you felt about it.
I definitely felt as if we really leaned into the whole, wow, let's look at this character again. And I had a more unique. I wish I was able to take notes in that theater. Jesus Christ, can we take a detour for a quick second and talk about our theater experience?
That was fun. We went way out of our way to go to one of the last dine-in locations in Los Angeles.
And for good fucking reason, I realized.
AMC. Yeah, and it was just like, okay, we were late. I ordered my food too early, and it came 10 minutes before we got there.
Yeah.
You technically didn't sit down until 5 minutes after your food was supposed to get there. You ordered a little later than I did. I sat down. I was like, okay, like the movie's about to start. Let me ask somebody. So I like stopped a server and I was like, hey, like,
we're not going to go into every single
I was like, I don't know. It's just there was a lot of back and forth with not getting food, not getting the right food. It's taking forever. And then they're coming out, they're asking questions and I'm asking questions and I'm like, who's on first?
More broadly, you did a whole Emperor's New Groove. I was like, whoa, that's a little too far
I didn't know what you wanted to.
Oh, look, that's Bitchy's a baby.
You said
okay, we're done.
Go over it.
I was thinking more of the fact like the service was awful. There was a guy coughing up a lung on the other end of the theater. The couple next to us, not as bad as I thought they were, but they were talking very loud.
I just heard them. I heard one thing that the guy said. I didn't hear that they were talking.
He said. And so, okay, jumping ahead in the film, all throughout the film, Emily Blunt's got red hair, and then at the end she has blonde hair. And the guy next to us goes, "Who's that?"
Oh my God.
Very loud for the entire theater to hear.
Goodness gracious.
But there is a pivot. The reason I wanted to bring that up is there was no energy. Again, we saw a kind of not, what is that called?
Matinee.
A matinee. Not a matinee, but earlier.
It's a matinee. It was 1 o'clock. Matinee's before 4.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a matinee and it had very matinee energy, which I do think kind of, because that's the thing, these movies kind of, they rest less on their plot and more on
the cultural reception
and the novelty of revisiting a lot of these characters. So they make for great first time experiences. Like obviously if you and I had been invited to like the premiere or an early screening,
which we weren't,
we would have had a very different, and again, we're always honest. Just because they gas us up with free food and drinks doesn't mean I'll lie to y'all. Which is why I always acknowledge that, like, as a theater going experience, certain movies can be a lot of fun, but if there's not a lot of meat there, and when you're like sitting in a theater, I'm already having a bad time. You're missing half of the plot in the first like 10 minutes because the waiter didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Well, I'm sure it's not fully his fault. It's just it was all just not. There was a lot of confusion on both ends.
But it leaves, and I'll go into the part I find positive. We can talk about that, but it does kind of. It just, there's this kind of like pin drop energy where I'm having this movie be like come at me, and I'm not engaging with it, and no one in the audience seems to be engaging with it. And like I said at the beginning, it does pick up more towards the second half. I think once the plot kind of gets a little bit more in motion.
Once they're done with kind of the nostalgic, like, oh, remember this and that, and these people, welcome back.
It definitely it has a little bit more momentum to it, and I felt like a lot of the audience, ourselves included, got more engaged. Now, what the film does try to comment on, and I'd be interested in how you feel about this, it tries to comment on almost itself, on the very nature of all of these big movie studios and companies being bought out and kind of suction dry and
taking, basically cutting, trying to go out of their way to gut companies and cut all the costs that basically give the value to the company,
and then turn it around and sell it for
try
profit.
to get a profit. Yeah. And it's just kind of like, having basically bad CEOs and bad owners of companies that don't understand what their company is for and what it was founded on and what people expect from it.
Yes.
That are just like, that's an extra expense. And it's like, it's not, it's part of the experience.
And the movie begins with what Benji wouldn't allow me to tell y'all, but the movie begins with Andy being accepting an award seconds after her entire table of journalists, like coworkers, all got fired over text.
Yep.
And so there is this kind of narrative of CEOs will do what matters to their bottom line.
Yeah.
Without any regard to a human being, which is what we're seeing now. I mean, that's what's happening with Warner Brothers.
No, exactly.
That's what's happening with like the whole merger with Paramount.
For sure.
It's very much. It was hard though not to watch the movie, and it had like segments where they would be talking about something, and then I would see that very same issue be reflected in the film itself. So it's like even when Andy is talking to yet another Australian guy, by the way, that she falls for. That's yet another thing.
The guy from the first one
Simon
Australian?
Baker is an Australian actor. He might not be an Australian character,
Whoa,
but he's an Australian actor.
That's funny. I was going to say, and I didn't want to, I left it out of the spoiler version. They did give her a much healthier love interest this time, so I appreciated that.
He was kind of cute.
He was cute.
But he's still a man, so you never know.
Well, for this, he was very like, when she got to the point where she was a little bit, they kind of had a disagreement and she kind of was short with him. He was very much like, because she
insulted,
said something rude. Like she was like,
I don't disagree with her.
I don't. I also agree. But she was like, she said something that could have been taken rudely, and he wouldn't have been wrong to be like, hey, like, that's not fair. That's mean. Or I care about what I do. He just kind of goes, you're right, because she was like, your shit doesn't matter. Like, this is different. Like, this is journalism. And he's like, no, you're right. Journalism is inherently more, like, he fully just went, you're right.
Yes.
And then he was like, but I am just going to go ahead and go. I do. And then having that specific, I do want to see you when you come back. It's up to you.
Yeah.
And walked out. And I was like, that was solid. Like,
but what's interesting about that plot line is it was another way in which they were kind of trying to reflect,
audience.
I was thinking, though, they were trying to reflect the theme of the movie back to us, where she meets this guy who basically took a historic building in New York and got a bunch of money people together to buy it out, and then he was an architect and he renovated it and kind of replaced it with just very minimalist. This is where terminology escapes me, and I don't have all the terms in my head, but
minimalist kind of
just very gentrified.
New architecture,
just very new money architecture, no life, no sense of history, no nothing. And of course, she doesn't know he's the architect, so of course she's criticizing, and of course he says, "Wait, that thing you're criticizing, you're talking to the wrong person, sweetheart.
I am the good version of this, and the TV version."
And so, of course, there's this running thread as to, what he does is kind of representative of what the film is trying to talk on, which is people with money buying out something that means something to people, gutting it for profit, but maintaining it, because otherwise it would have gone away. And that's a point that they try to come back to, which is like, the world is progressing. Progression can't be stopped.
Yeah.
And so why not allow people with money to buy up the things that would otherwise deteriorate and disappear? Why not let those people buy it out
and change it up, and
just slap a few things on it, just slap a few kind of like sponsorship deals or whatever, as long as it like you can still see glimmers of what originally used to be there. And to that I say, okay, yeah, maybe time will erode things, but you specifically as billionaires
are still taking something that's successful.
You're guzzling.
Which that's what I thought, like when he was like, oh, what they're doing with Runway is the same thing that I'm doing with my buildings. And I expected her to be all like renovating a building that was about to be taken down and preserving what was left of it is completely different from taking a functioning highly respected magazine that makes millions a year that people love and look up to and respect and gutting it for everything that it's worth.
Yeah.
Like actively taking something that is actively in use and gutting it. That's different.
That's the fault of Cat. See, that's the thing. Here's the thing. Everything they were speaking of, every moment, because again, that the beginning scene with everyone losing their job by text, like
horrible.
In theory, that's horrible, and obviously Anne Hathaway does a decent enough job kind of relaying it. But this film does not want to engage with the big elephant in the room, which is all the issues that it presents are just the byproduct of capitalism expanding.
Well, yeah.
And you can't really tackle that when the film itself is this glitzy, glittery Paris Fashion Week type advertisement for Lady Gaga music video. Like you can't have both. You can't have it both ways.
Advertisement for fashion brands.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I'm like, of course Andy wasn't gonna call him out, because what she should have said is like, well, the building should have been preserved. It shouldn't be left up to capitalists or venture capitalists or whatever. Shouldn't be left up to these people. We shouldn't have sucked everything so fucking dry that we're all just waiting from scraps from maybe the one what is that word? Benevolent billionaire to come in and save the things that matter culturally.
And do it the right way.
We should, as a society, as a group of people, care about culture, care about preserving things, care about preserving art, so that when you're in Milan and you're looking at The Last Supper on the wall and you're saying, and you have the Elon Musk character played by Jennifer Aniston's ex-husband saying, that's Justin Theroux. And you have him saying that, like, look around, like this used to be so significant, so beautiful, and now there's just remnants of what it used to be, but you know, like we should be able to meld together to kind of progress and move forward. What's wrong with that? That shouldn't be left up to you to deal with. We should be able to preserve our art and it not just be an also, around the corner is a fucking Pizza Hut in the corner of the Sistine Chapel or whatever, you know?
I mean, isn't like the Roman Colosseum right next to like a bunch of brand new businesses? I mean, but it is what it is, because at the end of the day, like, because when he said that, I was like, yeah, I think you're missing the fact, because he was like, well, you know, this city, this is all we have left of what was a thriving city and like a bustling, you know, society that dominated the world. And I was like, yeah, and guess why this is left? Because somebody fucking preserved it. Like,
and guess why a lot of it's been ruined over the years? Because of people like you
who
would rather pour money into Mars than fucking this planet. And obviously he's supposed to be a caricature, and obviously he's not supposed to be the character we listen to. He's supposed to present the flip side of the emotional and metaphorical coin that our main characters are going to be on the opposite end to. But another issue I had with this movie was there was a lot of times I didn't know what was happening. Like I didn't know what the kind of goal was. And so, you know, like for a good chunk, her and Emily are conspiring to do something and we don't know what. And then
well, I don't think we were supposed to.
No, I know, but there was it was like the movie put a lot of effort into the nostalgia reconnections, and then, you know, I don't know.
I would say the only thing that I was confused on in what was happening was where Nigel ended. I was like, did he get promoted to head of runway, or is he still in the same job?
Look at the flowers, Lenny.
That was my only question.
Look at the flowers.
Because I thought, oh, she's going to come in and he's going to walk into Miranda's office because now she's in, you know, or maybe she's in the office above them.
Oh,
like
you're right.
Or maybe she's working from a different head office for the global office, you know?
Nah, we don't know.
I was like, oh, he's in the same office. Like, is he doing the same job? She's in the same office. Is she just basically doing the same job but also has more responsibility now, but she's in the same position? Is she holding that position now for herself? Like, I would assume the hint was, like, obviously he'll be more involved in, like, you know, having leadership roles and probably stepping in when she can't, or, you know, taking on once she leaves. I don't know. Obviously that was the intention. And then at the end, Emily Blunt, you were like, why is she working for Coach now? And I was like, I would assume, my best guess was just because
she got fired.
I would assume she got fired because she was trying to buy Runway and basically leave them. And so they were like, oh, bye.
Maybe,
maybe
yeah.
because she was doing like a kind of
She's doing too much,
usurping a big magazine, and they were like, oh, we can't trust you. I would assume, but that wasn't laid out. But also, I'd like to watch it again just to see, what else I find. But good stuff. Sorry, that was a lot of a lot of commentary on kind of stuff that felt like
I think
might
it was
not
just,
have fully worked. But
it's hard, yeah, because originally I expected us to kind of go a little bit more into the movie itself, but I left feeling there was a few lines like, okay, so the one line that really stood out to me was where they're talking about, it used to be in the past you could expense a 2-week paid trip to Africa to do
just
a whole
shoot,
editorial,
yeah,
and now you can barely get 2 days just fucking up the road. They said a New York thing that I don't know because I'm not from
Bushwick
New
or
York.
something.
Yeah, whatever. They were like around the corner, and I was like, and what's wild is while this film does more or less look and feel comparable to the original one, since they didn't shoot on film because it's just so much more cost effective to shoot digitally, especially with aging or actors who it's just a different landscape. If the landscape for film and media was the same that it had been 20 years ago, half of these people wouldn't have returned because they'd be like, we're doing better stuff, or that's beneath us. And in a lot of ways, a lot of the actors in this film kind of feel like an Andy, just like, well,
I guess we should come back.
We should come back because it's slim pickings out here. And if they're going to make Devil Wears Prada 2 instead of Osage County, or whatever, 3, I'm Meryl Streep and I need some money. And, it's just it feels like one of those things where in the past, actors were sold on a script and now they have to be sold on fucking money. Because it's just
money in the reception. That being said, though, they did actually film in New York.
I know, I did. I noticed that.
So that's great. I will say,
and they filmed in Milan.
Yes,
and I know that because they had a lot of fucking crash zooms where it would be on a person and then zoom out, which I thought was funny.
Yeah,
but there was one part when she's running away from the bell, Notre Dame. Was it? Where was she?
Oh, yeah. They were not Notre Dame. That's Paris.
Yeah.
But they were in a square of some kind.
They were in a square, and it crash zooms out. And it was like, yep, that actress is really there.
She's there, yeah. No, that was
But to finish my thought very quickly, I would just say there were still a lot of areas in watching this movie where I could tell corners were cut in comparison to the original film.
Yeah.
And so it's so lines like that stick out and are funny because I'm just like,
you're not even living practicing what you preach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it everywhere. It's hard to escape. It's hard to escape the fact that, as Andy says, these companies are just sucking the soul out of everything and repackaging it.
And unfortunately, like you said, it is unfortunately not even fully just the companies. It's the effects of late stage capitalism, because it's not about, oh, well, we just decided not to film this. It's the fact that it's like, oh, yeah, Devil Wears Prada 1, if we filmed this exact same movie at that time, the locations would cost less, the cameras would cost less, the film would cost less. And now inflation, not only just normal inflation, but, explosive inflation from,
gas prices,
from COVID, from gas, from all of that. Now things are just so much more crazy expensive as compared to what we're going to get back. It's like we actually kind of, to a certain extent, can't go all out the way that we would have. And it's like, even if we want to, there's still certain areas we have to pull back because it's just everything's so fucking expensive. Like
everything,
even
just
for $1 million company,
you can't just keep expanding. At a certain point, you run out of room, and it was hard. It's so funny. This podcast has become more of a conversation.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's what they wanted. They wanted a conversation.
It just was like I have no analogy. I wish I had a good analogy.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say. Side note, though.
No, please.
There was
bring up other things that I won't remember because you actually enjoyed the movie. Sorry, I do want to preface. I should have said this.
You did enjoy the movie.
I had fun, and I didn't hate my time watching it.
But will you watch it again?
And the moments where I actually feel there's momentum, like the moment where Andy is, trying to. Actually, there's really not a lot of. There was parts here and there that I enjoyed watching what Meryl Streep was doing. I liked every time Meryl Streep had to deal with a circumstance that she didn't want to deal with. So her having to go to the cafeteria, her having to fly coach.
Yeah.
Those moments were fun. But
or her just being on a leash when it comes to HR.
Mm-hmm. That was fun. Anyway, the outside of that, I didn't hate it. I really feel indifferent. It just, the conversation is eliciting a lot more in me than I think the film itself could really. But what were you saying, if you remember? Because I don't remember.
Full side note, just there was a clip that released of them filming in New York, and it was the part where Anne Hathaway is like walking down the stairs and eating a muffin, but she slips on the stairs and she like falls, and everybody's like, oh my God, and she's like, I'm fine, and then she like films it again and she like walks down carefully and then bites the bagel and walks away, and that's the clip that made it into the movie, so it was interesting.
Wait, she slipped?
But she slipped.
I missed that.
She didn't slip in the movie.
Oh, okay.
The second clip that somebody got behind the scenes.
Oh, so the
of her
clip
walking.
the
Behind
clip
the
that
scenes.
you literally saw, they literally filmed the part that goes into the movie.
It looked like, yes, unless she did it the exact same way. But I was like, the way she walked down, where she kind of like hesitates, like a little, a hair of a hesitation, you wouldn't notice it unless
she just fell,
unless you saw her fall.
Yeah,
like the however many minutes before.
That's
I was
so
like,
funny.
I saw it, and I was like, yeah, because you just fucking fell. Like so,
only
it was
so much an actor can do.
It was kind of, I kind of like when I saw it, I was like, yeah, she fell. not like a loser, but like a damn, that's real. Like I'd be. Anyways, yes, I had a lot of fun with it. I had a great time with the nostalgia of it. I had a great time with the intros. I thought that coming back and seeing Emily for the first time,
she was great. I will say she slipped right back into that very well.
Fantastically. She was absolutely that character again. I did, like I said, I enjoyed a lot of the connections between everybody. More specifically, like I was saying, where Miranda's almost not the big bad this time, though, because now it's like the CEO is the problem. And so it is that progression of any like movie or TV show a lot of times where it's like your big bad, once you kind of defang them, you can't really put those fangs back in. Like they can still be like a bad character, like mean.
It'd be like making a Grinch too. It's just not going to be as fun.
It's not going to be the same, and you're going to a lot of times have to find a bigger, badder character. And so while we had kind of this, our CEO was what we found was like this very benevolent person who did care about the magazine.
One benevolent
CEO, but he still was kind of the big like boss that was yelling at even Miranda and stressing her out. And I don't think we ever even, she like smiled at Irv once. Like we got a hint that Irv had the power and she had to, she kind of had to please him in the last one, but like in this one it was very clear, like, oh, I'm getting yelled at, I'm not going to get my promotion, like I'm vulnerable here. So it was interesting seeing that, and then seeing kind of they have a lot more interactions. She obviously earns her trust fairly early on. You're
talking about Andy
earns Miranda's trust back pretty early on. It's unclear whether or not then that Miranda actually remembers her or not from before.
I like to think that she really truly didn't remember her.
I don't think at first she did, and then she kind of started to be like, this
is starting. It's because the movie follows a lot of the same plot, so she's like, wait a minute,
I remember these stupid ass questions.
Fucking vu.
The few times that they like called back to the first one, I was like, this is fun. But the fan service moment that I was like, I was kind of like, all right. When she walks up to the desk guy, who is
Caleb Perrin?
Yeah, the TikToker, or not TikToker.
Who I thought was severely underutilized. I don't know if
they had a ton of people on this movie as far as like celebrity and guest appearances.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, it probably would have been great to see more of him. I just think that they had a 2-hour movie and they had so many people that it's like, oh, you're in here because people know you and like you. We like you. We think you'd be a good fit for this. But also, we just don't have the time to spend with a lot of these guys. Like, I would have loved to see much more of Simone Ashley's character.
Same. Well, she has the one line when Caleb Perrin laughs and she goes, what did we say about laughing in the office?
Yeah, that was fantastic.
And she delivers that perfectly.
Exactly.
And that made us laugh. It was one of the few big laughs I had in the movie.
And unfortunately, because this isn't her and Caleb Perrin's movie, like, which maybe they want to do a spinoff. Maybe that's the point. They were introducing the two of them.
That would be fucking annoying.
But it wouldn't be the same because it's like, Miranda's not the same. But all that to say, yeah, like,
the fan service moment, though.
It's not their movie, so we're not following them like we did with Andy and Emily, where we really got to get to know them. The fan service moment when she came up to him and was like, oh, you're doing the book? And he was like, well, she likes that, she likes the physical version of the
Oh
magazine.
yeah, don't go up.
And she goes, well, whatever you do, don't go upstairs. And I was like, yeah, he's not an idiot, Andy. Like, even when you were doing it and I watched it for the first time, I told you not to, and I was 8. Like,
oh my God.
Obviously, don't fucking do that. And obviously, he's done this multiple times before. He seems to know his job very well. He's not you, and he knows not to go upstairs. So I don't know. Who are you saying that for? Us.
Yeah,
that's for us. And then I did enjoy it. Like, obviously his response, like, yeah, who would fucking do that?
She's like, yeah, who fucking would?
I don't know. And I'm like, obviously, like, you know, she could be saying that for herself. It's fine. But that was one where I was kind of like, all right, fan service. I get it. But I did enjoy. I enjoyed our little fashion montage of when we were walking around Milan as the group of 4 of, you know,
set to Madonna.
Why am I blanking on everything?
Vogue.
Set to Vogue.
Which I now know about because people shouted at me in the comments as if I was raised.
You're raised like a barbarian.
I was raised like a straight kid in fucking Texas by Christian family.
Well, I was about to say you also.
You know what? Vogue slipped through the cracks, all right?
Well, a lot of things slipped through the cracks for me because I was only allowed to listen to.
What slipped through your
when I
crack,
was a
Benji?
child.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. Inappropriate. Not so funny anymore, is it?
Not so funny, funny man.
I was only allowed to listen to Radio Disney or KLTY, the Christian radio station.
Ugh.
So I didn't get a lot. I, though, learned a lot from watching Glee, and you didn't get to watch Glee. And by get to, you didn't choose to. I was like, you didn't watch Glee.
I had every opportunity to.
So the songs that fell through the cracks as a child, as in your childhood, you didn't get access to later.
I knew who Casey and the Sunshine Band was.
I know who they are. Well, I've heard the name.
What else are you saying?
That to say,
you liked watching them walk through Milan. That was cool.
Yeah, watching them walk through is a big fashionable posse of everybody. Of Andy, Miranda. What was her name?
Miranda?
Everybody. Sorry.
Ooh.
I'm trying to I was thinking of the actors' names and they were not coming to me. And I was like, the characters. We know, the main 4.
Who is Stanley? What's Stanley Tucci's
Stanley
characters?
Tucci. Huh?
What's his character's name again?
I just said it. I said it a minute ago, and
fine.
I'm sorry. I think at this point, you know, it was fun. Go see it. Let us know what you thought of it. If you're
we're
here,
ending it.
If you're here,
you said
we're
ending it.
I said,
wow, you just made a unilateral decision. You said, fuck it.
I felt like you were done. My brain is shutting off. Apparently,
you said, fuck it. We're 40 minutes in. We're done.
That's that. Unless we have more to say. You haven't said good stuff. Say some good stuff.
This didn't make me angry.
Oh, man. You know, I felt like you came into this a little bit more positive, and then as you kind of started to talk about the things you didn't
I'm not.
You kind of amped yourself up.
I'm not amped up. I'm not.
I don't think you're amped up. You're not. I don't think you're raging. I just think you.
Here's the thing. There's nothing I really can remember from the film. That's my big issue. So I feel no either way of it. I was like, visually, it was fun.
I loved seeing Lucy Liu.
I love her popping up.
I did love the very end piece. I loved, obviously, what she said while they were talking to her, and she was
like,
hey.
You know, you should go see the movie yourself. That was me.
I didn't do it in the middle of your conversation.
Kidding. You loved seeing Lucy Liu.
I loved her conversation about how she was very, like, hey, this isn't my money. Like, I don't give a fuck about this money. My goal is to give it all away before I die. And then having that call back to, which I'm not sure why I didn't think about it until I saw the house. I fully forgot. When they said who bought it, and then they showed the house.
Yeah, they said who bought it. I went, who did buy it?
Of course she bought it, because not only is she trying to give away her money for good causes, she wants to screw you. Realistically, she probably doesn't care that much, but also if in the process I can screw
it's a byproduct.
I can screw my ex-husband and his new little boo thing that he's trying to buy an entire magazine for, not to pit women against women, but if I can screw him over, hell yeah, let me buy it and save this magazine and save media, because she did say that she really loved what Andy was bringing to it, which I did like, because
that I did. I will say that whole section I liked, including her line where she's like, you didn't ask me anything about my ex. And I mean, it was very broad, very, surface level. And I wish the movie could have dived into it even more, but obviously the whole thing, like, you don't need to be defined by your husband. He's not defined by you. Yeah. So I appreciate that element.
We've had this conversation multiple times, but you know what? Put it on another platform. We love
Put it on another platform.
I will say, though, I did like, because it felt like when she was like, oh, I have to get this interview with Lucy Liu's character. And she was like, I got her number and I was like, oh man, the tenacity. Like, I love that. That's why she's special. That's why we need her. And then she kind of called 15 times and just got the interview. And I was like,
yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that. That feels like plot armor kind of luck. But then when she got there and she goes, well, I really love what I've been seeing from the magazine, which is your articles have depth, they have resonance, and they mean something. They're actually saying something now. And I was like, there it is. Because Andy was there and because she was giving meaning to the magazine, she was open to speaking to the magazine. That's the difference, and that's what Andy brought, and there we go. I enjoyed that.
But that is good, because like I maybe part of me would have been more interested in seeing like how it's changing, like what article she was exactly talking about. I do feel like there was a lot of scenes of Anne Hathaway montages. There was a lot of montages of Anne Hathaway on the phone, and then it would just be like someone would say, okay, something's been accomplished. I was like, well, I want to see the nitty gritty.
Well, I think that's what happened in the last one too, because we don't need the conversations. We just need to know that Andy's
I feel like
tenacious.
She was running around a lot more though.
We saw
like watching her run through New York to get that book to Miranda Priestley. Like but
she was also an assistant at that point.
Yeah, but there's a which again harkens back to my issue. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like this movie can be fine on its own, but it just reminds me. It's not even direct relation because it's not even defined by. Like, let's say I'm not defining The Devil Wears Prada at all by the original one. It's just what this movie is on its own doesn't compel me as much as if I randomly was to watch the original film and be like, oh, the way that one's executed, no direct comparison. I'm trying to kind of like just as if they were two separate viewing
I understand what you're saying. I would like to know, and I know you're not done with your thought, but just ruminate on this while you talk. What movie does a good job of justifying its own existence in a second movie without the first one?
That's a good question, but
go ahead and finish what you're saying.
But with the first one, there's just a tactileness, a physicality. Yeah. Watching her like literally blood, sweat, and tears through it, even if I go back and rewatch it and realize like, oh, they really didn't show a lot. It gives you the impression that you're experiencing something so in depth, which I would say like they really utilized New York well. They utilized the locations well.
Yeah, I think they probably couldn't do as much this time.
No, it's just shot, reverse shot, wide shot. There was also one segment. Okay, so on a side tangent, there is a language to cinema that subconsciously for the longest time we were conditioned to understand. Not as much anymore because that language is now being bastardized. But if you're watching a movie and there's this intimate scene between characters and it's like wide shots pushing in, just like maybe establishing and then like shot, reverse shot, and all of a sudden it cuts to a close up, it's signaling your brain that this is important. This is something. And the scene where her and the guy were having their first date, for like randomly it just cuts to these just really close up shots, and I don't remember what they were saying, but I don't feel like it was that relevant.
They were probably
they kept going back and forth. It was like a good chunk of it just to hear. Maybe it was worthwhile. I don't remember.
No, I was
like, oh God, your face is huge.
They were probably mainly trying to create a feeling of intimacy rather than
but it didn't come across the same way. So I guess like the language of cinema
is
in this one is a little bit more light. It has a lighter touch. It has more of it's like a LaCroix of a movie as opposed to the original one, which has the actual flavor, has the nutrients. And I don't have an answer for that question yet.
Okay, well think about it, and I'll pause you right there for a second just to say,
I thought we were ending this.
Since you're still here, in that scene where they're going to dinner, really hot waiter. You'll see him. He was outside right when they pan into the restaurant.
That's how you know you're thirsty. If you remember a background actor who wasn't even featured.
Wow, I was like, holy
Not
shit.
Even featured.
Who
it wasn't
is
like
that?
Wasn't like one of those, oh, he looks
no. He was
barely.
I don't even think he was in focus, but I could tell. Hey, if you're listening to this and you know him or you are him, hit me up.
Hit him up.
Hit me up.
I don't know if I have an answer to your question off the top of my head.
Well, there you go. You're asking for something that is impossible and doesn't exist. I did expect you to have an answer, so I
can't think under pressure.
Well, if you think about it again, cut in an editor Rizzo
No.
moment.
Best sequels of all time. All it's going to say is The Dark Knight and The Godfather,
and
which
Shrek
is so
2.
annoying. I fucking don't think Shrek 2.
I know you don't, and that's what I think is funny because I'm like, to me, Shrek 2 was a solid sequel, and I think obviously as sequels exist, because they build on it. Otherwise, you're doing an anthology.
Paddington too. No, I'm not saying you can't build on it. I'm just saying that the premise of the sequel, I would like to be as compelling as the premise of the original one, and still find the same energy.
They saved the magazine.
Sure, I'm not angry at this film.
And she found love after her shitty boyfriend.
You're not even arguing with. I have no.
I guess I'm not. Maybe I'm. I feel like I understand what you're saying.
This movie just felt like a LaCroix. Okay. You know, good flavors, but more of the essence. It was essenced by the first movie. Yeah, it was very. Yeah, you're quoting me, but no one understands that.
No, I know, but it's they don't need to know that because I just did something that it didn't not make sense in the moment. So I was like, I don't have to reference it.
Wow.
As a TikTok. Is that still on your TikTok?
No, I got rid of that.
Yeah, I figured. That was from like 5 years ago.
All right. Yeah, I guess I have not much more else to say other than I love seeing Stanley Tucci. Even though he felt a little bit more weathered, I'm never going to be against. I don't have a problem with okay, this is a weird aside. I love older actors, and I don't mind old people. I'm not ageist in that way. Like, I can watch a film with any.
What way are you ageist in?
Well, I'm not ageist.
But I'm not ageist in that way.
You're right. That's not what I meant. I'm not ageist.
Okay.
Or at least I try not to be. And it's not a thing that directly impairs my issue with a film just because someone got, especially not when it's a woman. I'm not like, oh my God, she's older and uglier now. Like, that's not an issue.
No, they all look very good.
It is hard sometimes, and it wasn't as much of an issue in this movie. It is hard sometimes to watch a film where actors are trying to slip back into a character, and I'm just like, this in any other world would not be a thing, but you're older. And it just doesn't work. And it's like, there's nothing wrong. If I saw an older doctor, well, maybe an older doctor.
I think that's kind of what people said about, what was it? Beetlejuice 2, where they were like, it's great that he was able to come back, but he just didn't, you can't ask a 70-year-old to have the same energy as like a 40-year-old. Like, it's just not. Again,
there's nothing wrong if I was watching a movie in which that was the only frame of reference I had.
But I would say, for this specifically, and I get it, like, obviously, people are older, they engage differently, but I'm like, this is also a world where you can be as old as you want and be in this industry.
Well, that's what I liked about it.
People stick around forever, so it does actually still make sense that they would be there.
That was a positive thing on this film.
It's not like when you do, Batman 4 and Batman's like 60 and you're like, hey, I understand that as an actor, you got back in shape, you had the best, trainers and money.
More jobs for older people. I like it.
Fantastic. But like, realistically, come on, you're not actually, if Batman, he would have broken so many bones. He would be a puddle at this point.
No, I liked it. It was, what I was saying though, is it was hard to kind of, Stanley Tucci was a lot more weathered than we had seen him 20 years ago. Even for something we had seen him like a few years ago. I can't remember what I recently saw him in, but it's just like, he's definitely, his voice is a little bit different. He's not delivering the same way, but I think he sold the heart of it. I think he leaned into that in a way. Like, there is almost a tragic nature of him still working at that job.
I think that might also be, he's an amazing actor. We know that. He probably was leaning, what?
Ooh, he could have been.
He could have been just leaning into the fact that he's like, hey, I love this job. I love Miranda, but I did get screwed over 20 years ago. And like he said, I keep getting screwed over and I'm just kind of stuck here and I'm not the one to complain. And I think that I liked that they kind of gave that little bit of realization to Miranda as to kind of going
why she's never
she's like, I'm just so used to everybody in this industry being such basically divas that I can never shut them up for what they want. So when I had one person who wasn't in my ear chirping about what they want all the time, I just completely took for granted.
I did like that
peace of mind and that kind of like that you're just happy where you are, and I didn't think that you would want more. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, and it is one of those things where it's like, hey, they're a person, they do want more. And when you like stop somebody to think like, of course they fucking do. Why did I not think about that? But it's very easy to fall into your patterns, especially when you're a Miranda type. That's very like, I'm doing what I'm doing and everybody better get their shit together around me. No,
I liked it. I enjoyed watching the actors again. I had fun with it. I don't know if I'd watch it again, but I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't, like, you wouldn't have to drag me kicking and screaming to rewatch it. I'd be interested in seeing it in an environment that doesn't fucking suck.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, AMC Dine-In, Marina 6, that was a grotesque experience.
I wouldn't say grotesque. But I also wasn't sitting next to people who were talking, and that's not really in their control.
No.
But I would say The mechanic of the food delivery system needs to be oiled up a little bit. Like it
but
was
they
a
won't do it 'cause
little
they
bit
sucked it dry.
Yeah, and I'm like, and again, I showed up late. I will own that. You sat in my seat, so we were switched, which is also why.
Is that why they kept having a goddamn issue? They were always like, ugh.
Yes.
I was
So
like,
part
don't
of
you
it-
know your damn theater?
A lot of it was that, but some of the issue where, I ordered bacon cheese loaded tots and they gave me cheese tots and I said, excuse me, where's my bacon? And he goes, I don't know. Like, he didn't say it like that, but he was just like, that's not,
No,
I don't.
He said a lot worse. They're just standing there
And
during
I
a
was
pivotal
like,
moment
and
going,
it's like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to be annoying, but like, I kind of have to be here watching this for work. And I wanted bacon cheese tots and we drove 45 minutes
Oh my
across
God.
town so that we could eat something and watch this. And now
Oh my
I don't
God.
have bacon on my tots. So can I give this to you? I swear to God, that's how I ordered it. It's on here on the menu, on the receipt. And he did take it back and he brought them back the correct way. But then 20 minutes later, somebody else was like, "There's a bacon tots. It's for 15." And I was like, "No, I
was
got
wondering
them."
why they
And
kept
he was
bringing
like,
it to me
"Here,"
first.
and I was like, "I
didn't
don't want this."
fucking order this.
It's like it was just confusing.
It happened.
Everybody was
it happened
confused.
3 times. We're in the middle of the movie and someone comes up looking at me like,
You want this?
is
And it's
yours?
like,
And I was
no,
like,
we
no.
don't need anything.
And then
We
he just
have our
stares at
stuff.
you like,
Who's got
who's
this?
in
And I was
I'm like, get the fuck out of my way. I'm trying to watch the movie for work.
Oh God, it was stressful, and I do not blame them because it was a confusing situation. The only thing I'm actively annoyed about is the fact that when my stuff was brought out, I didn't have a drink, and it took them like 15, 20 minutes to bring a drink.
And you know why?
Which is fine, because I'm sure they had a bunch of other orders.
You know why?
Huh?
You know what the root of the problem is?
They sucked everything dry.
It's late stage capitalism,
And just
Benji.
the fact that I was like, why do these not have bacon? Who ordered this? This isn't mine.
It was hard
It's
not to get
done. Go ahead.
It was hard not to get existential because I'm pretty sure the waiter was like an older man who shouldn't have been a waiter, and in any normal world
Would be retired.
He'd be sitting next to me being like, "Oh, I love me some Anne
I love a
Hathaway."
1 o'clock movie because I don't have anything better to
Exactly.
do.
I'm like, sir,
That's
you should be
true.
in this seat instead of serving me. But also, if you're gonna serve me, stop
Stop.
fucking serving me the wrong thing. God damn it! All right, that's it.
Again, not his fault, but
Nope,
somebody,
late-stage capitalism.
I don't know, whoever else in the kitchen just didn't put the. I just want my bacon.
You know what I realized? I have a heart. I could not rant at the actual systemic issue the way I would have normally liked to because I was in the middle of the movie trying to watch it. If this had been anywhere else, like an actual just dinner, I'd have been like, I'm not gonna get mad at this person. I'm gonna complain at the fucking manager because they're the one making these people have to work these awful hours and shit.
I agree. I think, but that's what made it hard too, was because you couldn't just go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, this doesn't have bacon on it," and I can clearly see that from when you dropped it because there's light. And you know what? I can hold you here. I can talk to you. We've got time. I'm one of 3 or 4 tables. I understand you might be busy, but we're able to talk to each other, and we're not sitting in a dark theater where you're standing in somebody's way and I'm speaking and I'm trying to be quiet so you can't hear me, and you're trying to be quiet so I can't hear you. We're trying not to disturb people, but I'm sure we also are. And I also paid like almost 20 fucking bucks for these, so I'm not gonna just let it go.
Nope.
Like, this is way too expensive to just kind of go, whatever. So I do kind of need what I fucking ordered, but I also am like, this is now a whole
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
And it was happening at
Anyways.
the very moment that she was getting a call to go work for whatever.
Well, it happened on multiple scenes.
Yeah. All
So
right.
I hope
I'm
that-
done. I'm done. Can we be done with that?
I hope we didn't ruin anybody's experience is all I'm saying. And if we did, I apologize. Okay.
In the theater? Oh, I was just saying I would like to watch it again in a better environment.
Yeah.
To get a better feeling of it. But altogether, I would say, hey, if you're excited to see the movie, I think you should still be excited to see the movie.
I
and
think
have
you'll
fun with
you'll
it.
enjoy it.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Oh, so you're ending it. No, I'm kidding. That's it. Until next time.
Oh, are you trying to be Miranda again? Oh, wait. You should end it.
Okay.
You know what you're going to say. I'm Rizzo.
I'm Benji Priestley. And until next time. That's all.